What's up, what's up, what's up? I'm Jonathan.
What up, what up, what up? It's your boy J-A-Y to the dash B.
Dear Lord in heaven.
Yeah. Hit that on cue.
Alright. This time, we're going to just talk about the craft.
Last week was John's crazy session.
No ranting and raving.
So,
fuck no. So, back to that video that I started talking about last week. Don Cheadle dropped some on J. August Richards' podcast. Not a podcast, it's an Instagram Live of all things. He drops a lot of gems about the craft and about building a character and not being afraid to take chances and take risks. And it really got me thinking about like different resources people can use to start learning the craft and learning a way to build. I don't want to say build a career. I want to say build a craft. Build.
I would just say build a foundation.
Build a foundation.
That's probably the best way because, Don Cheadle is amazing.
He's
like I love everything he's touched.
You seen Black Monday?
Yes.
Such a brilliant show.
I actually have seen Black Monday. Like Don Cheadle is amazing, and I talk shit about a lot of celebrities because I don't like a lot of celebrities, but Don Cheadle. You the homie, bro.
He's such a great actor, and the way he talks about acting, like it's like I think like 40 minutes an hour. You should definitely check that out and watch it, because the things he says, I'm like, yes, like this. More people need to understand this. He talks about doing the work, about figuring out who your character is, and then taking ownership of that character, and really playing with it. Understand the character enough so that you can play around with them and still be true to who that character is.
Yeah, and so as a director yourself, when you're dealing with an actor, which do you prefer? Do you prefer the method actor, or do you prefer the actor who just can flip the switch on and off?
I haven't really worked with method actors. Have you worked with any method actors?
I've had one.
Who was like, how method? Like, call me by this character's name even when we're not rolling?
Not like Shia LaBeouf method acting. Like Shia went full method acting in that new Father Pio, or is that what it's called?
I don't know what it's called, but I know what you're talking
about. Father something, and like now he's like 1,000% Catholic now. He's like he's actually been greeted to be a father now. And so anyways, not that far into it, but he was very during the whole set, this is who I am. And it was an interesting experience because and I'll name drop and give a shout out. Tommy Wilson Jr., phenomenal actor, even for something in our realm. Yeah, phenomenal. Like I love working with Tommy and actors like Tommy because it turns on and off.
Tommy is one of the best actors I've ever worked with. Like he's brilliant.
And then you got people like who we had on last week, or I'm sorry, the week before. Michael.
Mike, I think is great. I do.
Mike is great. He really envelops to what it is to be an actor. Mike works hard.
But I wouldn't consider either one of them method actors.
No, not at all. I'm not name dropping them.
Oh, okay.
No, not at all. No name dropping that.
Actors like that who can turn it on and turn it off, that's who I enjoy working with.
Yeah.
But they become that character. And then they just go back to being them.
Yeah.
It's people who get stuck like that is like, I don't know. Like, it's a little much.
Yeah, yeah. Who was man, was it Jared Leto? Jared Leto got stuck into his method acting to where he delivered, what was it, a head?
Dead rats.
A dead rat to the table. At that point, Will Smith was like, "Nope, I'm out." Fuck Jared Leto. That's what Will Smith was saying.
Like that to me is too extreme. That to me is like, you're just trying to be weird to be weird.
Yeah.
You don't need to do that to play this character. There is like a Kristen Bell who changes his body weight to fit a character. Yeah. That's dedication. It's more dedication than I have, but that is dedication.
Yeah.
But I don't even consider that method acting. That's just that's real
that's
hard.
getting into the to me that's getting into the role.
Yeah.
Like, if
Jared Leto would be who I consider method acting. And that to me is too far.
I mean, Heath Ledger for the Joker as well.
He ended up in an insane asylum.
He ended up suiciding. So, he that's method acting.
Heath Ledger. Jack Nicholson also ended up in an insane asylum for like a week.
Jack Nicholson, that boy, he was home.
I love Jack Nicholson.
I love Jack Nicholson too, but he out there, man. He wild in the best way possible, though. But when it comes to actors, though, I really look for what are my rules with actors, and this is why you'll hear me say it a lot on this podcast. I hate Hallmark actors. And I say that because Hallmark is cheesy. It's bad. They're not trying to be the character they're portraying. They're trying to act like the character they're portraying, and that's the problem. When I pick actors, I want to see you. I want you to become that character. I don't want to see you act to become that character.
I don't want to see you working. I want to believe like Don Cheadle kept saying the truth. Like you're trying to portray the truth of the moment.
Yeah.
And when someone's acting, you can see it. And it comes off as very fake. And it takes you out of it.
Yeah.
You have to believe that they are who they're claiming to be.
Mm-hmm. Like Tommy in The Mogul, I said, you're this hip-hop rap star who's kind of like all about you, but you have a love for everyone around you. It's kind of, you have to walk that line. So what he did was he went and had a custom hat made. Didn't even know he was going to do it. And he got a custom jacket made that said, I think on the hat it was like the Tyke over. Because in the film, his rap name was Tyke.
Yeah.
And so he had the Tyke over, and then he had the star with it was, when he came on set, it was, I am Lil Tyke. That is me, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
And that's what I love. That's what I love seeing from actors who I work with and who really understand and appreciate the craft.
He's definitely, he should go places.
That's what I always tell, man. Tommy, I don't care what anybody says. I will argue till death and bone. Tommy's the top actor in DFW, and there's nothing anybody can tell me any different.
I think the first day I was on set with you, that's what I said. I was like, Tommy's the best actor you have. Like that dude is a talent.
Yeah, like dead to rights.
Because I think my first scene was with him in it. Like the first thing I shot was with him in it, and I was like, this dude is so damn good.
Yeah, and then of course Mike would have to be that next
Mike is really talented.
Mike is good. He's really great. He's really he really takes the time and to learn everything, and Mike is not afraid to sit there and reach outside of his element, and I think that's what I appreciate about Mike's acting so much. And then you got so who would be one of your favorites that you've worked with, when it comes to your actors?
To my actors, I really gotta like my friend Isaul. He doesn't really act anymore. He went and got married and got a real job.
What a loser! No, I'm joking. I 1000%. How dare you live your life?
But that dude, like my writing is such where my characters monologue. Mm-hmm. I like to hear myself talk, and therefore I like to hear my characters talk. I could tell I was inspired for like Quentin Tarantino and Kevin Smith, like their styles. Like that's how I write. And that dude could deliver a speech that feels conversational better than anyone else. And I would give him things like I made this scene where he goes from angry to depressed to jubilant back to angry without talking to anyone. He's having like a breakdown, talking to himself. And I was like, I think I'm a pretty decent actor. I don't know if I could have done that with the believability that dude pulled it off. Just flowing through those emotions in a way that felt organic and natural. Mm-hmm. Like he crushed that. And I'm just like, that right there is talent. Like that dude, he deserves to be a star. But now he has an engineering degree and he's doing well for himself.
Making more than us.
He might have made the right choice.
Hey, filmmaking isn't easy. You got to have a passion for it, man.
But he was damn talented.
Yeah.
I had a friend, Lawrence, who was also really good. He was funny, charismatic. Dude should be a voice actor above anything else. I mean, I'm not saying he's ugly.
Wait, Lawrence, the one
you didn't like that, but the dude could do like
was he the vampire one?
That was him. Yeah, that was him writing and directing.
Yeah.
I like Ascension. I think they did all right, but he's actually a really good actor. When he has the material, he's really good, and that dude is the best voice actor I've ever met.
But wasn't he also the guy in the security?
The security one, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, he was good in that.
You loved him in that one.
I loved him.
You
in
said
that
he was really good.
Yeah, but then when I saw the blade knockoff,
one, you didn't really care for it.
Yeah. In which, Devontae came over whenever that day, and he was like, I was like, yeah, I bet I saw you in that Ascension thing. And he was like, what? I don't even remember what is that? And so we actually went and watched it, and he was like, oh my God. He's like, I remember all this now.
That's when me and him first met.
Yeah.
Me and him first met on that.
And he was all like, what the hell was I doing with my mouth? I was like, bro, I think the teeth were too big. I think the teeth were too big. And he was just like, oh yeah. You know how Devontae is.
Well, that project, not to go back to the North Lake, I had already. That was after I walked out of the program.
Yeah.
So I wasn't involved in the school anymore, and that was Lawrence's midterm. Mm-hmm. So everything I was doing on that project was kind of under the table. No one was supposed to know about it.
I don't know what you're talking about. Not like your name was on the whole thing.
Oh, I re-edited it and put my name on it because there was a lot of drama on that one too. But Lawrence is a really good actor. Yeah. And the dude is killer with voices. Mm-hmm. He could sound like anyone. Zelda has been the most reliable actress I've ever had. She's been on everything. She always comes through and is always... I've never met someone who takes direction better than her.
Yeah.
And then Ashley, I've never seen someone improve so much where she could, if she wanted a career in this, she could do it. From where she started to now, it's like a completely different person. Mm-hmm. Another person who's kind of gone on and has a career now. But most of my people went on to other things.
Well, film doesn't pay as quick or as much, so it's hard to stay in something for so
Plus,
long.
most of them, with the exception of Lawrence, who I haven't talked to him in a while, so I don't know what he's doing, but everyone else there were only doing it as favors for me. Mm-hmm. It was never what they wanted to do. So then they were like, well, I have a life. Yeah. But those are my top three. Those are the ones I always go back to because they always get done what I need them to get done.
Yeah.
But...
Why is Jay not on the list? I'm reliable.
You've never acted for me.
I mean, I'll act.
But you've never done it yet.
Man, I'll act. I'd be like, hey, your face.
That's not acting. That's just you being aggressive.
No, I can't act for shit. I like to think I could, but like, I can't remember lines. So.
Oh, I'm great at memorizing lines.
I'm terrible.
I taught all my actors how to memorize lines.
I forget words when I'm talking. You don't need me. I can yell at people. That's the best I can do.
When me and my friends started out making skits, we would all be like, hey, let's meet this day at this time. And so we'd meet, and then we're like, all right, so we have 4 people here. Give me 10 minutes. I was like, oh, give me topics. And then I would go write a script. Like, what do you guys think? All right, let me make these changes. Spend like a couple hours writing like a 5-page script, and then be like, all right, this is what we're doing. And then I taught them all how to memorize lines on the spot. We shot it like a soap. We would shoot our skits like soap operas, memorizing on set all of our lines.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest mistakes I ever did with actors and everything, it was my very first day shooting.
Yeah.
Very first day. I'm talking about Pete was new. Yeah. Original cast, OG cast. Man, no one came prepared with lines. So basically, we had to shoot line for line.
I've done that.
That is the worst thing.
You shouldn't do that. I've done that because I had to, but it is not the thing to do. But I find and this is a different in directing style. I actually, if they know their lines, that's great. Obviously, I'm not ever going to tell someone don't come prepared. But there is something when they don't necessarily know their lines going in that then forces me to do rehearsals. And in rehearsals, I can get what I need. I can get them to memorize their lines, and I can get them to memorize their lines with the blocking I want and the emotion I want. It works, at least with the actors that I generally use. It works better for me if I can guide them to the performance.
Yeah, no. As my directing style has changed over the years, that's what I lean more towards now. Like I'm like, we're gonna rehearse. That's why I'm so adamant about having script readings, and because I want and when we do script readings, I make them stand up and act it out.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you're not gonna just sit there and read from your script. Nope, I need to see you put your body, everything into it, because this isn't gonna work for me.
Rehearsals are the best thing you can ever have. Yeah. I feel, because there are times when I read it to myself and I'm like, this sounds good. I read it out loud. I was like, this sounds good. I can play this role. But then I put it in someone else's mouth, and maybe they can't necessarily. And my first thing is always like, well, how would you say this? I was like, I need this, this, and this. How would you say it?
Yeah.
And sometimes when you give actors that freedom to alter the character to fit them a little better, you'd be amazed at how much more alive it comes.
Very much so.
And it's like, I don't need you to spit back necessarily my dialogue, but I do need you to bring to life what it is I'm trying to bring. And if we can work together to alter this to fit you better, like, why not? Like, why not alter it and change it? And I do think that's something where you got to kind of put your ego as a writer aside and be like, maybe there's a better way to say this.
Yeah, and that's, I always tell the actors, it's just like, take my dialogue, stick as close to the subject as possible, but make it your own. Because for ADR purposes, I don't want to have to go back and rewrite for ADR purposes, but
I give them themes. I'm like, I need this. If you can say this in a different way that still fits, by all means.
Yeah.
Unless there's something that then gets called back later or is a callback, then I'm like, you do need to say this.
Yeah. Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, but you have to be as a director on top of that. Acting, I do think, is one of the hardest but most important parts of filmmaking. Like, it's the thing that everybody sees. When people watch a movie, they don't necessarily remember the camera work, but they remember the performances. Like, that's what brings it to life. So the actors have to
that's crazy, because my mind works different. Sometimes I remember the actor work, but I remember camera, because like I'll use Iron Claw for instance. They had this beautiful one shot, and I'm sitting there in awe. Went to the theater,
as you should,
and
always.
I was just. It was so beautiful. A one shot from the backstage to the ring. Then they did this shot where it was like Zac Efron bouncing off the ropes, but he's bouncing towards the camera. And for some reason, to me, that was just such a gorgeous shot. It showed the intensity of what he was doing.
I'm not at all trying to downplay the beauty of cinema.
Yeah. No. I'm just saying, I agree. Not everybody pays attention to the camera, but...
Don't let me go back on another rant. But when I was in film school...
So we're gonna talk about.
Hold on. There were projects that were turned in that had no coherent story. The acting was atrocious. The direction had no vision. But then in the middle of it, there was a beautifully shot, like 5 seconds of a spider making a web, and the teacher goes, "Is this like a metaphor for something?" Oh, yeah, it is. And I'm just like, a metaphor for what? What does this have to do with the rest of the video? And it's like, it's gorgeous, but it doesn't tell a story.
Yeah.
And so I almost worked on this documentary, and it had some of the most beautiful shots I've ever seen. And I was like, if you want me to work on this, I was like, we have to. And I basically wrote an outline, and I was like, I need you to change this, and this. You got to get rid of this. You got to get rid of this. I was like, you need a story.
Yeah.
I was like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen shot in my life, but you're not saying anything. So good visuals with no substance is meaningless.
Yeah.
But filming two people talking could be entertaining. That's what I'm saying. Like, the visuals can add to the story and enliven it and enhance it, but it can't be the only thing you have, because that's so many people in film school are like, oh, look, I can shoot something cool. It's like, but you're not saying anything.
Yeah, no, I get that. So
Iron Claw, I mean, the way you talked about it, it had a compelling story. It had things that were moving and powerful and stuff like that, correct? Mm-hmm. So the visuals added to that. But if it was just those visuals, would you still have cared?
I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know. It's a good question. I do agree with you. Would I? It would have been majorly different. Because I do think what made that shot of Zac Efron running back and forth hitting the rope is the shot of the position of the camera, but also how he's moving. And then also you have your one shot where the Von Erichs are walking out and about to fight. So yeah, I see the point of view on both ends on that one. But
I'm not trying to take anything, because I do want to talk about video work as this goes on. So I'm not trying to downplay that. I heard
the downplay. Did y'all hear that, cinematographers? I heard the down. No, I'm just joking. Devontae, he's on to you.
I think that when you're telling a story, and everything is a story, life is a story, you have to get a point of view across. Stan Lee once said, if you have nothing to say, why are you talking? These weren't his exact words, but someone called him up like, why do you have political commentary in your stories? And he's like, because I have something to say. He's like, why am I going to write if I don't have something to say? So you have to have something to say. That's what a story is. Even if it's a documentary, even if it's shooting wildlife, there has to be a point behind what you're saying. And the way you convey that in a scripted series, by and large, is the actors.
Yeah.
So to me, it all starts with the page, but I figure we'd end with the script. But it's conveyed through the actors, through their emotions, through their craft. You disagree? Oh, okay. Because I feel like they're very critical to everything.
No, I mean, let's. You're off screen.
Oh.
I mean, let's call it what it is. Okay. I mean, let's say what it is. I mean, I can't make a film without actors. Actors are very important. Actors are very detrimental to what we do. Detrimental? Should I have used that word? Maybe that was a negative word. I meant like y'all are very important. Yeah. I'm sorry. My bad.
Essential.
Thank you. Detrimental. I'm sorry. No, you're not detrimental. You're very essential to what we do. We can't have film without actors. So, but I do think actors are not the most important, because it takes a village. There's, we have to put together the script, have a foundation for the actors to step on, because without a script, actors don't.
Well, I did say the story is most important, and I said we'll end with that, because I do agree with that. Without a story, what do the actors have?
They got nothing, and so But then again, without a camera crew, what are the actors going to be the face of?
Well, there's this art form. You may not have heard of it. It's called theater. They've been doing it without a camera crew.
That's true, but I can tell you the last time I've been to a theater.
I go to the theater a lot. You don't like the theater?
I haven't. I don't go.
Oh, theater's genius.
I can't do the Hallmark acting.
I was actually going to suggest that if you wanted to go into acting, a lot of people take acting classes. I think that you should take theater classes. If you want to be an actor, you should study the art of theater acting. So, take that with a. You're gonna have that's a huge. What John just stepped on is a bomb. Okay. So and not on me personally. I think I have no leg in that fight, because I don't care if you're. I do have a little bit more problem with theater actors than I do acting classes actors. I will say, when I was a child, my mom was in college and she was a theater major. So I grew up in the theater. That is a world that I come from. But the problem is, in the world we live in now, speaking on about, last time about us progressing and moving forward, or in your point of view, regressing and moving forward. Theater actors are not, and I'll just use my personal experience. I've worked with a few theater actors, and they have not been the best or even good. Not saying that they were bad theater actors. No, they were fantastic theater actors. But when you're transferring from converting, whatever.
from theater to film to actual film, it's a whole different game. So in my opinion, and John, you're more than welcome to disagree. I think you should dip your toes into both. You should beneficial to learn both sides of the scope.
I can definitely agree with that, and I do agree with your point about being more subtle and you're playing to an audience of one essentially versus a theater you're playing to an audience of hundreds. Yeah. So I do agree with that. I like the care that goes into the background of it. Yeah. They treat acting like it's an art form a lot more. Whereas a lot of the acting schools that I've heard of or talked to people in, it seems more like a job recruitment center. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I get it.
And that's what I'm going off. Is theater treats it more like it's a craft. Yeah. Like even if you've never worked, this is the most important thing you will ever do. And there's something about that to me as an artist that's just like I like that mentality.
Yeah. But actors, I just want y'all to understand that make sure you do acting for what you love. Yeah. Make sure you do it for your passion because you're not going to get paid for a long time. You're not going to get what you feel is worth you for a long time because
unfortunately that's true.
And it's very unfortunate. And so just make sure it's something you really want to do because it may take 10 years before you see a first good paycheck.
In the film industry, I've worked a lot of jobs and I think I've been paid for acting like twice.
Yeah. It's hard, man, but it's because of the oversaturation.
And in the film market, I know that I can go out and get paid for almost anything else. Yeah. Unfortunately, acting, it's oversaturated. It's a pain in the ass to get paid, and it shouldn't be. Yeah. But it's just.
But and this is once again, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but why should I pay someone with I'm not saying me, I'm just saying just in general. Why should someone pay for an actor when I can go to a college of someone who will work for free?
I think, for me personally, I think it comes down to who are you as not as an actor, as a producer or a director, and what are you trying to do? Is this a passion project that you just like, I want to make this? And so then you get people who are also like, I just want to make something. Yeah. Like I just want to play in that world. And so then I don't have as much as a problem not paying. If nobody's getting paid and everybody knows that, then I think it's cool. Yeah. But if you're a producer who's just trying to get free labor and other people are getting paid, you're getting paid, to me that's shady.
We all know. I had a name pop in my head, man, and it almost came out. Anyways.
If no one's getting paid and everyone's just doing it because they want to make something, that's cool. I don't have a problem with that. That's generally what I make. I want to make something. Do you guys want to make something with me? Cool, let's make something. Yeah. And if I ever make a dime, I'll split it with you. If there's 10 of us, we each get a penny. I'm cool with that. Yeah. But I make sure that's discussed up front. Right. And if I'm getting paid, I'm going to make sure everybody else is getting paid. I really think that's where the problem comes in. When certain people get paid and other people don't. Yeah. Or I really have an issue. I know it's like the norm in indie film, deferred payments. Just be honest. You're not going to get paid. You're not going to
get paid. Stop saying deferred payments. And this is, and to John's point, I'm 1,000. I have never told an actor deferred payments. Up until I started talking with Bradley, and Bradley was the one who was like, oh, just tell them deferred payments, and if there's anything on the back end, and I was like, okay, whatever, but I deferred. Tell your actors, don't tell them deferred. Just say, look, there's probably not going to be any money coming into this, so make sure they know up front. Because when you say deferred payments and say if money gets made. And people are going to be wondering where their money is. And
then it comes into a whole thing about analytics and what is coming, and people are going to want records. Just becomes...
and it becomes a thing. If you don't have the money to pay your actors, don't promise anything.
I did get points one time on a project. Unfortunately, the project never got finished. But that's different. that I was also a producer on.
Yeah.
So it came with the producer credit. You get points. If I make money, you make money. That's this. But generally, if you can't pay up front, just be honest, you can't pay up front. And then I think ethically, if you do make money on the back end, you should put money in people's pockets.
Yeah.
But if you start making that ahead of time, people are going to get an expectation. And honestly, unless you make clerks, you're not going to pay them on the back end. You're not going to make anything on the back end.
Because I think, and I'll be 100% honest, off of ticket sales, Mogul made just a little bit of money. I didn't break. I was in the red, but like I spent $5,000 on budget, and I only made like, I think it was like estimated around 1,200. And I asked, and there's records. You were in that chat. I asked, what do y'all want to do? And everybody said, put it towards the next project. So I did. But, like, I think how I handled it, I think I handled it really well. Because I did offer, what did y'all want to do? And everybody said, just put it towards the next project.
Yeah.
Talk with your people. Because one thing I can't stand.
I don't think I even responded because in my head I was like, from one showing, you're not going to pay off your debts.
But I offered.
You did offer.
Like no one can say I didn't offer. I offered. I everybody may have gotten $10, but
it's something where to me, you have to go into this knowing, am I going to get paid or am I not?
Yeah.
And as long as you know that up front and it's something you want to do, then go for it. You are, at the end of the day, you're playing. Yeah. And if you enjoy it, then go for it. But I do have issue with producers and directors who tell people, oh man, once this hits, you're going to get paid. Because you're lying to them. Like, the number of things that hit are so small. And let's be honest. Say we make The Mogul, and The Mogul does actually pretty well. Mm-hmm. Unless, and even now, like in this day and age, it's even different than it was in the 90s or the 2000s. But odds are, that being really big, also you're not really going to make money to pay back everything you spent to make it. Yeah. So odds are, what that's going to do for you is get you either funding for your next film, where then you can pay people, or set you up so that your next film makes money. And then you could pay people. Yeah. So odds are that project that you work on, even if it makes them blow up, isn't necessarily going to bring money into your pocket, but it might get the next actor paid. Yeah. And unfortunately, that's just how it works. And I do think that needs to be discussed more because I don't think enough people realize this whole system's fucked.
It is. No, I 1,000% agree.
I do think that YouTube, TikTok, and all these other streaming services, and I don't mean streaming services like Disney Plus and Netflix, but I mean like where you could post your own stuff. Mm-hmm. Even if you're not monetized, they're making money off of you. Yeah, they're getting content off of you. They're getting this off of you, and so the fact that
they throw their ad on your
and you just don't get a cut of it,
and you don't get a cut of it,
and the fact that they make the bar so high for you to get monetization is exploitation.
Yeah, isn't it like you need 1,000 subscribers?
For YouTube, you need 1,000 subscribers and either 10 million short views or 4,000 hours watched.
Yep, it's fucking ridiculous.
But they're still making money. Mm-hmm. And they're still getting things off of it. And there is something that is very like, well, this isn't how it should work. Whatever money you're making off of me, I should get a cut of that. You're using my content to feed your algorithms. Why am I not getting paid for it? Yeah. You shouldn't make the bar so high. And it didn't used to be high. I used to be monetized on YouTube. But they kept upping the bar.
Well, yeah, because it started out with like what you needed 100 subscribers.
Not even. I guess I got monetized. I've been on YouTube a long time. I got monetized when I had like 30 subscribers. Yeah. It used to just be as long as you're making content and you don't have any violations. Yeah. You can get monetized. But then they kept upping it because there were certain things on their platform that were inappropriate and were getting people in trouble, and so they just
bum fights.
Well, I think it was actually have to do with children and things like that. No, I know.
I was just joking.
And so they changed the requirements, but instead of just being like, okay, we're gonna have more of a vetting process before, they made it so you have to meet all these bullshit benchmarks. And I don't have a problem with them vetting like, hey, this content we don't like. Yeah. And then we don't want to advertise, but then just making it so it's impossible for small creators is it's exploitation. It's a fucked up system.
But that's why I did one. You brought up a point. I think it was the last video where you were like, we need a new, smaller YouTube.
Yeah.
And I 1000% agree with that, because that's not TikTok. I mean, I'm talking about YouTube glory days, because I do feel like it's because you got people like, and you name drop Mr. Beast and PewDiePie and all. And
I'm not like shitting on them for being successful. Like, that's cool.
No.
Like, more power to you.
I do think it's upped the ante to make it more inaccessible.
Especially since mainstream, like Hollywood, has gone into YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, all the news shows, all the TV channels, they pump money into it as well.
Yeah, I mean, how many Nickelodeon stars are coming out with their own podcast now? That of course is shitting on us little guys. I mean, yeah. and I'm not jealous or mad or upset, but I do think y'all are using the star power that y'all already have to continuously generate more money for yourselves in a world that needs to be for us. And that's my opinion. Like, anybody can disagree. That's fine. Leave it in the comments below. Tell me why you disagree.
I'm not even going to fault them for doing that.
Yeah.
I just do think that there needs to be a place that is more welcoming to small creators.
Yeah. Because we don't have that anymore. TikTok has taken over, and you see all the big celebrities on TikTok now, and I know even Kurt Angle got a TikTok now, and so I'm just like, God damn it!
Well, he's an Olympic champion. He deserves it.
He got some funny ass TikToks, so he be wilding. But besides the point, it's just, I do agree with you that we need our own home. For small creators to really thrive, and
it can't be your own website, because you need something to direct traffic there.
Yeah, and that's rough. So I think it is time for something to happen.
I think there's a market for it.
Yeah, because Spotify is not for us. We do have our own section, but it's not big at all.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that Hollywood's not paying out like it used to. So those people who were used to making a shit ton of money are like, mm-hmm. I need to bring in other money to maintain my lifestyle.
Because I think Spotify pays what, 0.004.
And as Snoop Dogg said, explain the math to me, how my song can make 1 billion views and I don't have $1 million in my bank. Yeah. He's not wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Jesus.
But it is stressful when you talk money. Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of people are never going to make it, and then a lot of other people are going to take a long time to make it. Yeah. And if you're afraid of that, I've had this conversation with actors who are very talented, that if your goal is, I need to be successful in 3 years, yada yada yada, well, just stop now.
Yeah, don't do it. And then with a lot of actors I've had discussions with, like, oh man, I've been doing this for 3 years and I feel like I haven't gotten anywhere. I'm like, well, what are you doing?
I'm as I said in the last episode, 35. I've been doing this since I was 18, and I have successfully made a living doing this at least 3 different times in my life. Now's not one of them. Yeah. And I mean, made a living where I had money in my pocket and it was the only source of income I had. Yeah. And I've gotten there, lost it. Gotten there, lost it. Gotten there, lost it. And that,
God, I miss COVID. I was baking.
And honestly, like, that is what this is. Unless you're one of the mainstream people. And when I was younger, I wanted to be, but I have no interest. Like, I would direct a Hollywood movie because there's some things that I think would be fun. Like, I would love, if Nickelodeon wants to make an Animorph remake, I will make it.
I don't think there'd be anybody better to make it.
But
you're such a nerd in the most loving way. I say this in a very loving way.
90% of people are like, what the fuck is Animorphs?
Don't worry. The 90s kids know. 90s kids know.
I just reread all the books. I'm just like, man, this holds up. Like, it's a kid's book series, but it actually holds up. Mm-hmm. Like, it's so dark and twisted. But there's just, like, I want to build my own little corner of the world and just be like, this is my entertainment. Give me 5,000 loyal fans over 1 million. He's all right.
He's average.
But I understand that it takes a long time to get there. And there have been times when I've been closer to that than I am now, but you can't let setbacks stop you. Yeah. And I think so many people get discouraged. And the best bit of advice I ever heard was, if you can do anything else, Go do that. This isn't something you can do like, well, I'll give it a try. You have to die for this.
You do. And you've got to cry and yell and have a... And I think that's something that even I took from it, because when I was first making, I keep going back to the Mogul because I said that's my first big feature film.
Yeah.
So, going back to the Mogul originally, I mean, I fell apart so many times, losing actors, switching up the scripts. And it's just, this is not for the faint of heart.
Not just losing actors. If you devote your life to this craft, you will lose relationships, you will lose friendships. There are a lot of people who I'm not cool with now because they're like, well, you're just wasting your time. And it's like, that's not for you to decide. Am I asking you for money? Am I bothering you for time or resources? No, so what the fuck do you care?
Yeah.
But people will see what you're doing, especially when you do land on your feet. It will make them mad. There will be people who you thought were your friends who get mad when you do good for yourself.
Yeah.
And when you're doing bad, when you're struggling, they'll laugh and they'll poke fun and they'll make fun of you and they'll talk behind your back, and you'll get a lot of that. And then when you do well, they will be livid and they will try to take it away from you every chance they get.
Yeah.
And you just got to cut those people out. I don't talk to them anymore. Like, it became a drag, but I lost a lot of friends, and I even lost romantic relationships because of this. And I think I made the right choice. I don't have anything to show for it, but I wouldn't be happy otherwise. And if that's not you, then this isn't for you. But let's talk about cinematography. We spent a long time on acting.
Yeah. Well, they are a pivotal point of what we do, but now let's look at another pivotal point of,
because you were making the argument that cinematography is what sticks with you more than the performances.
But that's also because I love camera angles and I love different shots, and like even in Thin Blue Line, name drop, check it out, 2024. We did that shot of that. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but that running down the alleyway shot and everything like that. And it was so great, and I loved it. Maybe it was because it was an indie thing, and you don't see a lot of indie doing what we do.
I do find it interesting though, because I think that I'm a very... You've worked with me. I like to design camera shots. I'm very big on... I mean, how many times have I argued with Devontae?
You and Devontae, man. And I'm just sitting there like...
So I do find, like, I'm not... I think performance is key, but I mean, I'm not sitting here like camera angle doesn't matter, because I will sit there and argue with Devontae for an hour about a shot. Like, no, that's not the right angle. Let's do this.
No, it's cinematography is also extremely important, because I feel like, the style of a film can be what draws people in.
And have you ever met anyone who tries to be more ambitious with a shot than I am?
You and Devontae. Y'all, man.
We wasted on the Mogul like half a day trying to get that elevator shot to work. Me and Devontae were just walking through every different angle, like, for the damn reflective surfaces.
I got this one gray hair right here. That's from that day. Like, y'all drove me crazy.
We were trying to do a oneer from the entrance of a lobby into the elevator, up the stairs, back out to the boardroom scene, because it was written as 4 different scenes, but it's one continuous dialogue.
Yeah.
And I was like, if we can do this as a oneer, and we mapped out the whole shot, but it kept falling apart because the elevator was too reflective.
Yeah, the elevator, was it mirrors on the inside?
It was on the outside. So we're trying to find how to get into the elevator without all the reflections. If we had money, you just erase the reflections, but...
Yeah, balling on a budget, baby.
But we spent so much time. Me and Devontae made out like the perfect shot, but we just couldn't pull it off with the budget and location.
Too bad. But I wish I would have known that while I was... But you know what? I got the location. Shout out to Katrina for that location. And so, really, I couldn't be mad about it, Yeah.
And then we went to the, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not trying to shit on cinematography, because me and Devontae also made the whole, was that for the Mogul too? What was that for? We did it was the Mogul when we were going to reshoot it. Mm-hmm. The parking garage. And me and him mapped out a shot from the top of the parking garage to the alley where he gets shot as a oneer. I love oneers. I really do love oneers.
They're great. But, and I really wish we had got to do that.
Because the way me and Devontae figured that whole thing out, it would have been beautiful.
It would have been crazy. But I just cinematography for me, it's really is the backbone because you need it. You can have the best actors, you can have all this and this and this, but if you don't have a great cinematographer to give us those eye-catching shots that make you like, ooh, that shot is cold. Ooh, that's a great shot. Or maybe that's me. I get hyped up with great shots.
I do feel though. I love great shots too. Like I'll notice like. Me and my friend McKinder, we'll just sit there and be like, oh, did you see that rack focus? Like, we'll send each other a movie and be like, check out this rack focus. Like, that's on point.
Yeah.
So I do agree with that, but we're filmmakers. We play with cameras. We do that. I don't think the average person notices it.
Yeah, and I think that's where it is hard because we've been doing this for so long that...
we know how hard it is to get those shots.
We know how hard it is to get those shots. So I'm just like... I just... Cinematography is where it's at for me, So, like, don't be coming on my set with your Hallmark acting bullshit. Cinematographers, keep doing what y'all do, because
I do feel though that sometimes, I don't know if you've done this, but I've worked with some. This is why I stick to one or two cinematographers, because I've worked with some who think that their camera work is more important than the story being told.
Yeah.
And I was on a movie set. We only had the location for... we had the location for a couple more weeks, but we only had one of the actors for like another day, and then they had to go back out of town. And they were trying to get this... they were the Steadicam operator. They're trying to do a steady shot at the same time everyone else was filming. And they kept blocking all the other shots and blocking the actors, and it's like, okay, why don't we just do one shot with just him? But he kept interrupting the actors as well because like, no, let's do this again. It's like you're messing up the performance. Your shot's not more important than the performance.
Yeah,
and I do have issue with that when the cool angle takes up so much time that the actors don't have time to perform.
Yeah. And that's out of my jurisdiction because, I mean, truth be told, I've only ever worked with Devontae.
Yeah.
And and if I wasn't working Devontae, it was me. I did work with Tran one time with Devontae's friend. And so, like I said, I don't have any expertise in that. I worked with Spectre Productions on one day on set, but there was this guy I think his name is Brad Ramsey.
Well, it's not, you should...
Huh?
Are you going negative talk or positive talk?
No, it's positive.
Oh, okay.
No, but I was working with Brad Ramsey, and he's probably... Dude is phenomenal with his camera work and camera angles. And it to me, watching Brad Ramsey, he... the dude is just a gift. Like, he will... add to your story rather than block it out and take it away.
And that is what you want.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the ones who are like,
I don't know anything about
this shot is so important. And it's just like, it might not even make the final cut.
Yeah, because you know how Devontae is. Devontae is like, I want to do this shot. And I'm like, okay, well, let's see. And then the shot turns out not being great, like that shot in Thin Blue Line. And he was like, oh, yeah, we need to redo that. Because I don't have that experience like you do with I'm not, sorry, I shouldn't say bad cinematographers, but with cinematographers that you don't see eye to eye with.
Yeah. Who maybe are a little too big for their britches.
Yeah, because, but, I think that,
I know nothing about ego. I have none. I'm joking, obviously.
Saying that... Whew, man, that ego almost pushed me into the damn computer.
No, but it is an ego problem. It is like, what I do is the most important thing on this production.
Yeah.
And that's why I said the thing in the earlier part about the acting. Because the story is what drives it.
Yeah.
And the visuals can't override the story.
Right.
If you have a cool shot, it's the coolest shot out of all time, but it's an emotional scene, and you really should be paying attention to that person, a cool shot will distract you from what's happening in the scene.
I could see that.
So, I guess it all comes down to story.
Yeah. So, speaking of story.
So, we'll go to directors. Because I mean, what I'm talking about now is the director's job to manage all of it. So you start.
I mean, I'm the best.
Okay, well.
No, I'm joking. No, I'm joking. It's just directors, man. Whew.
No.
I think to be a director, you have to have some sort of ego.
You have to.
You have to know, and like I say, I think as a director myself, working with my cast, I've had great rapport with my cast for the most part. You're never going to be everyone. You're not going to be everyone's biggest fan, but you have to respect the craft, respect the actors, and there's been too many times where I've seen directors throw things across the room because they're angry at their actors, and that is fucking ridiculous.
That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, it's as a director, you have to treat people with respect, especially when you're working on a no budget film, right? When you're working on a no budget film with people who aren't getting paid, what leeway do you really have to disrespect them or put them down? Or that's why I do my best when I'm on sets with my actors to really, okay, this is what we're gonna do. Take our time, because, and I try to respect the actor's time as much as mine.
So I have a lot to say about directors.
I got a lot to say too, but I don't know. I might hit my rant.
So I do agree. You have to be very good with the actors. You have to take care of your people. I've worked with directors though, who put such an emphasis on the actors that they're downright rude to their crew.
Yeah, you got to walk that line. You got to show love to everyone on set.
If you have a good AD, they can take care of the crew for you.
Yeah.
But you can't neglect your crew. You can't treat your crew like they don't exist. And I've worked with directors who do that, and that is problematic.
Yeah. Have I ever done that?
I haven't seen you do that. It is. I've been your AD. I want to let you do that.
That's why it's always great to have a great AD, guys.
I'm very protective of my people.
Yeah.
But I have seen that, and that is a problem.
Yeah.
I've also, and this is a problem, like on my last big project I worked on, I was trying this new method. Kevin Smith was talking about, like, as I progress as a director, I get more hands off, and I have my vision, but I trust the people around me. So I worked with people that I've worked with before and trusted, and I was very much, here's what I want, you guys make it happen, and I trust you.
I know what you're talking about.
And that literally sent me into a depression spiral. It came out so bad.
Yeah.
And I do think that a director is the one position where you do kind of have to be a little bit of a dictator.
No, you have to be a control. You do have to be a control freak. You do, because you have a vision that you're trying to portray. Even if you're not the writer, you have a vision of what the script you want to look like, on top of what the writer.
And I'm not saying you shouldn't trust your people. You should definitely trust your people, but you have to maintain your vision over theirs. If they come up with an idea that's better, by all means take it.
Yeah.
The best idea should always win. But you shouldn't. I gave up too much control to where I was literally only working with the actors. All the behind the scenes stuff, I said, I trust you guys, get it done. And there's a lot in that project that I'm just like, I can't watch this. And normally when I'm on set, I'm fucking with the lights, I'm working on the camera, I'm doing everything. Like, I'm working in every department. Me and my DP will sit there with the shot, like, all right, let's do this. All right, let me go talk to the actors. All right, how's lighting looking? All right, let's lighting. Yeah. Like, I try to put my fingers in everything. And that project, I was like, nope, I trust you guys. My crew can do it. I'm just dealing with actors.
Yeah.
And I will never do that again.
Yeah, being a director it's you really find out what you're made of. Being a director will make or break you, because you do have a whole set, a whole crew, a whole actor. Everyone is looking at you, and you have to be the one to make the fly decisions from right then and there of what's going to happen next. You know, it's not. It's funny because I'm very go with the flow. I don't care about making decisions, but when I'm on set, this is my decision. This is my decision, and so it really being a director is going to dictate how good of a leader you really are.
The main job of a director is to have an answer for every question,
Mm-hmm.
and it's better. This is what I was taught, and I do kind of agree with this mentality. It's better to have a wrong answer than no answer.
Yeah.
Because you can fix a wrong answer. And the worst thing a director can ever say is, I'll know it when I see it. It means they don't know what they're doing. And I've heard people say that. And it's like that. That's not guidance.
Remind me to talk to you after this podcast is over.
Like that is...
You just shined a light on something for me. You just shined a light on something for me. Oh my god!
One of the podcasts I listen to, Movie Crib, they have a Patreon, and their highest tier, $50 a month. Mm-hmm. They have a thing called Cult of Arwen. Arwen's his dog, and on the Cult of Arwen, all of these things that are like, oh, we'll talk about it off mic. They're like, if you pay us $50 a month, we'll tell you all the fucked up stories from set that we can't say on the regular podcast because we'll never work again.
That's it, yo. Hey, $10 right here. I'll let you check out this conversation we're gonna have with Bike Show.
But literally, that's what they do. Like $50, and you just hear us talk shit about people we work with.
That's pretty great, actually. John wouldn't post any of it. John would be like, "Oh, I gotta block all these people."
But speaking of that conversation we had off mic last time, where you're like, you gotta just not be afraid to offend people. On set, that's the one place where I'm like, fuck people's feelings.
That's what I'm saying.
Like I will be like, no, that idea does not work. I will sit there and argue.
By the way, he brought up what I said off mic.
But it's like the best idea has to win.
Yeah.
And I've also worked with directors who are like, my idea is always right, and I don't want to hear from other people. And that never, nothing good will come out of that. Nope. You have to be willing to listen to everybody.
Yep. And that's something, I had to do. You got to put the ego aside and just listen because, and I'll take John, for instance. John's first day on set, this motherfucker. And I mean that with love. Like, trying to give me advice on what we should do with a certain scene and stuff like that. And I'm just like, okay, hold on. I got it. And so, but we came back and I was like, all right, let's hear what you got. And it's put it, like I say, you have to have an ego to be a director. You have to be a control freak to be a director, but you also need to be a team leader. And to lead a team, you need to be able to listen to the people you're going to trust the most. So, and that's something you're going to have to do to be a director.
And just speaking as if you're like, you want to one day be a director or an AD or whatever, what I did on that set, which was exactly the opposite, just before going that day, I was like, I'm not going to work any crew on this movie. I was like, I'm done working crew for other people. And then that first shot, I was like, I don't like this. I was like, I can't sit here quietly. I was like, this has to change.
Yeah.
And I did kind of insert myself a little aggressively into altering things.
But you know what? I think looking back on it, hindsight 2020, I think it was the best thing that ever happened. I mean, look at us now.
Yeah.
I mean, now I think we've become...
And I wasn't wrong.
That's what he took out of that. I was going to say, I thought we've got a great friendship now. And then we became really good friends. We got a podcast together. We shoot the shit.
A lot of good things came out of that, yeah.
But all he wants to look at is, well, I wasn't wrong.
I wasn't wrong.
No, you weren't wrong, John. Is that what you want to hear? Is that what you want to hear? You weren't wrong.
Exactly.
Jesus Christ. You know what?
I have no ego.
I was trying to...
No, I was just fucking with you.
I love you. You love me. Like, I was trying to get some friendship. Whatever. Fucking hate it here.
All right. But the point is, like, what I was going to say is, if you see something that can be fixed, what I do on sets, the only time I didn't do it was this, but it was so... Because you didn't have your normal DP there, and it was this whole thing.
Yeah.
But normally what I do, like when I was starting out, is I try to learn as much as I can, and then I I tell people like, hey, what if we like? I would make suggestions to whoever was in charge of me, like when I was talking about Gospel of Thomas, the DP was also the AD, and so when I was doing lighting, I'd be like, hey, what if we did this? And I would go to him with ideas, and then he would be like, well, here's why it wouldn't work, or here's why X, Y, Z. And then within 3 days, I was the AD.
Yeah.
He was like, you know what? Why don't you be in charge of everybody else, and I'll just deal with the camera.
But I think this is a good topic. I think this might have to be turned into a part 2.
Yeah.
Because, like I say, I mean, we still got a lot of discussion.
What are we at?
We're at 35 minutes,
And then
but we had
there's
25 on the other one.
Well, let's do a part 3. We'll continue this next week.
No, this is only part. Well, those two are going to come together and be part 1. So next week would be part 2.
I'm in a third podcast because we already recorded another one earlier today.
Oh, okay. You say you're doing it.
Let's do it right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's hit the sign off then.
But before we do that, let me just finish this thought. Like,
oh, my bad. I thought you were done. Sorry. Go ahead.
If you should try to learn as much as possible, and if you find good mentors on set, you should use them. Like, I do think that we as a society have gone so far into this factory mindset of you go to work and you work. And it goes back to what I was saying about film school, about how it's training you to be average. And I think everything in this society and even our industry is very much, well, let's just make it as easy as possible. Let's just package it. But I think what we need to go back to, and why I mentioned Raymond in the beginning and Larry in the beginning, is because to me, those two guys, more than just about anyone else, were my mentors. Like, they took me under their wing and taught me what I know now. And I don't work like them. I'm a very different filmmaker than they are. They're very, very different filmmakers from each other. But without their guidance, I wouldn't know what I know now. They helped me out a great deal. And so when you're starting out, don't be afraid to start out at the bottom, but find mentors. Yeah. One of the TAs at Northlake, his name was Kyle. I forget his last name off the top of my head. But on, I forgot the name of the short, but we worked it for a full, like, it was a 23-hour shoot. It was supposed to be 3 days, got congested into 1 day. And he took me under his wing that day. And I ended up shooting second unit and helping rewrite the ending of that. And I was a PA. Now, that's a whole other story. But point is, like, he took me under his wing and he helped me out a lot too. You need to find mentors. You need to find people who will guide you and will take your hand and be like, this is what to do. And who you're not afraid to tell them your ideas. And who, when you have a good idea, will be like, that's a good idea. And Kyle and Raymond both, after a while, like the first couple times I went to them with ideas, they would go and tell the director. And then after a while, they're just like, you go tell them. And they introduced me to the director and they set up that relationship. And if you have a good mentor who's not obsessed with, I'm in charge, I have to be in charge, not power hungry mad, they will make the connections for you so that your career can elevate and that your role can elevate. But you have to find those mentors. And if you know what you're doing, you have to be willing to mentor people. The next part is also going to be direct because I have more to say, but this is going pretty long. So I'm Jonathan.
It's your boy Jay.
Give us legends.
Overload Productions.